All right, everyone, jumping back in, capitalism and political economy. So this is kind of a fun topic right now, especially. I think we're seeing a lot of examples of how maybe capitalism is sort of not necessarily the sort of political economy that works in a time where we have a lot of people who can't actually participate in the active labor force. Um, yeah, we'll get into that in a second. So, anyway, I just wanted to show off this meme that I made. I'm really proud of it. It's, I think, the only meme I've ever made, and I'm just so pleased. So, anyway, please enjoy. We'll cover Adam Smith in a second. Hopefully, it makes more sense. Okay, I also wanted to note that it's important to think about this idea of capitalism alongside this concept of the political economy, because when we're talking about capitalism, we are certainly talking about how capitalism has been politicized in various ways. And so, of course, there are different political regimes across the world who have tried different forms of economic structure, and that's certainly political as well. But capitalism plays a big role in our politics, in the way that the things around us take meaning and hold power, right? And so when we're thinking about political economy, we're thinking about the economy of power and the structure of power, and how capitalism is sort of so tightly enmeshed in that, how money essentially equates to power in this society. All right, so we're going to jump in, and I started to go over this, but the question is, why do we talk about this now? Why is this important to think about? And I wanted to show you, I'm just going to pull this up here, a couple articles that I found just very quickly. So I think that just speaks to the sort of the way this concept or this topic has been proliferated recently. But when we're thinking about the coronavirus specifically, the Times wrote this article: as coronavirus deepens inequality, inequality worsens its spread, right? So what are we seeing happen with the coronavirus? Who is it who has to keep going into work, who has to keep exposing themselves to risk? And why is that the case? Well, it's the case because they need you to access the resources that you need to survive. Those of us, like me, who have been able to get an education and have this kind of luxury, I can work from my computer, right? That I'm also able to afford to have on my own. I think it really speaks to these class inequalities. And the question is, how has capitalism shaped not only these class inequalities, right, and the structure of that, but also how has capitalism influenced this idea that people need to be continuing to work, right, continuing to be productive in this labor-intensive way during this time that, it's a global pandemic, right? Like, why can't we just stop? And I think we all know that the answer to that is because of money, right? And because of power. And of course, there are other structures in place, right? You can't just stop everything, or else there's like mass disaster, certain things that we need stop working. Electricity is a good example. But again, when it's just one of those thought experiments, when you think about how we've gotten to where we are today as a society, and you question, why do we need electricity? Well, maybe we mostly need it so we can access Zoom, so we can hold our meetings, or whatever it might be. No, of course, there is a need for these things, but in modern society, because of how we have developed, and I think we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about culture. Anyway, so I think this is a really interesting article that I'll share with everyone. This article, How Panic Buying Revealed the Problem with the Modern World. So it's talking about the economic systems that we have in place. So supply and demand, right? The question of how shelves essentially get filled in grocery stores, what happened in the current moment when people sort of were overtaken by fear, right? They saw one or two pictures of empty shelves, and suddenly that actually spurred people to run out and empty more shelves. And so that concept of hoarding, I think, is a big one right now. And again, who can afford to do that, right? Who has the space to do that in their house? Who has the money to be able to afford 10 packs of toilet paper versus 2 packs of toilet paper? I will just say in this, I have not bought any toilet paper yet, so I'm trying to hold strong to that. But hopefully, we're out until what, May 15th. I might need toilet paper at some point. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'll share this article with you too. I think it's really interesting. And then finally, this one I thought was really fascinating. So the absurdity of athletes taking on the burden of billionaires. This is about the Philadelphia 76ers, their basketball team, which maybe you can tell based on how tall this man is, Joel Embiid. He's a star player on the Sixers, and I'm a big Sixers fan, so I kind of follow news about them. But what's happening here is the owner of the Sixers, this guy Joshua Harris, he had announced that they were going to implement pay cuts to all of the sort of entry-level workers who are part of the whole Sixers system. So, that's people who work at the stadium, people who are doing these tasks that, again, are more service-oriented. And so they were going to have these pay cuts, and Joel Embiid stepped in, actually following suit. A lot of other basketball players had done this for their own workers in their own cities and their own stadiums. But Joel stepped in and he was like, absolutely not. We're going to continue to pay these guys their full wages. And so he offered basically to bear the brunt of this economic decision made by this guy who is already a billionaire. And I think you could look at Amazon in the same way, right? Why are these workers who are being put on the front lines or who are losing their jobs, right? Why is that happening in this moment when there are those people at the top who continue to make a lot of money or have a lot of money, right? Could actually take this on, and then someone else has to step in and say, no, that's not going to happen. So eventually in this story, because Joel stepped in, the owner said, okay, no, we're not doing that. We're going to continue to pay them, which was cool, but also why did that have to happen? So anyway, just some sort of modern examples here of why we need to talk about capitalism and this economy as politicized in this particular moment. So I want you to take a minute, pause the video. I think that I will actually stop this recording. Yeah, I'm going to stop this recording here. So I want you to answer question 1 on your lecture response worksheet. Write about how capitalism has affected your life. And you only need to give me one example or in one particular arena in which capitalism has affected you. But just expand on that a little bit. Think about maybe try to think about something that you maybe have taken for granted in your life, that, this is just part of how you live, but then try to question that and think about how capitalism has really been the source of the reason why we live in that way. Okay? And then we'll come back with clip number 2.